Hey, hi, and howdy to all my sweet friends. Thank you guys for joining me back here for another What's for Dinner video. If you are new, my name is Courtney, and I do food and kitchen content like grocery hauls, What's for Dinners, and meal prep videos. If you like that kind of stuff, make sure you hit the subscribe button and stick around. I would love for you to join me here on my channel, check out my playlist, and drop me a comment so we can get to know each other. All right, y'all, I've only got 3 meals this week. If you watched any of my previous content over the last week or so, you know that sickness hit our house, so I really was not in the kitchen cooking. I was just trying to keep my head above water for a couple of days. But I did jump back in the kitchen on Tuesday. Monday was Labor Day. So I jumped back in the kitchen Tuesday to whip up these Crunchwraps. These are super simple. So I just started by making some taco meat, basically. You could always use the packet seasoning if that's your jam. It is not mine. I do not love it. I feel like it's just so strong. So I prefer to just season my own taco meat. I keep it pretty simple. I usually do salt, pepper, garlic powder, onion powder. Sometimes I do a little coriander if I remember. I saw someone else do that a while ago, and it does add something nice, but you don't have to do that. And of course, if I've got some chili powder, I like to throw that in as well. Typically, I will skip the cumin because it's not my favorite spice, and the more I use it, the more I find that I dislike it. How funny is that? It does have a purpose. It does have a place. So sometimes I do feel like it's necessary to include it, but not all the time. Anyway, once I season my meat and it's like nicely cooked for the most part, I do add some water in there and let it simmer. I just kind of continue to break it up just a little bit to get those like perfect little taco meat crumbles that we're all looking for. And the result is like really good taco meat. It's not dried out or anything, but it's not like super wet. It's seasoned well and it's really delicious. All right, so let's make us some Crunchwraps, y'all. So I started off with a jumbo tortilla, the biggest ones that I could get this time at the store. And I'm gonna put some of this like cheddar cheese sauce on there. You could use any kind of cheese sauce you want. This is the one I got from Walmart. It's pretty cheap and I like the taste. It tastes a lot like Rico's cheese sauce. Put as much or as little as you like on there. I'm a big fan of the cheese sauce, so as you can see, I was a little bit heavy-handed. And then I'm going to go ahead and add some of this taco meat to our Crunchwraps. I did cook the taco meat ahead of time just to make my afternoon a little bit easier. So there's a little tip for y'all. That's something you can always meal prep over the weekend if you're cooking these during the week, and it makes throwing these together so much faster. Next, I took a tostada chip and placed it in there. But if you do not have any tostada chips, feel free to just use like tortilla chips like you would for chips and dip and stuff like that. Those would work just fine, but I happen to have these on hand, which is actually why I decided to make this meal, because I wanted to use them up. And then this is some of that like zesty Baja ranch sauce that I got from a copycat Taco Bell thing I made quite a few weeks ago, actually, and we love the sauce, so now I just serve it every time we have tacos or anything taco related. I will try to link that video down below so you guys can make that too. It just adds a really nice pop of flavor. If you're a fan of like the Baja Gorditas or anything like that from Taco Bell, it's just a copycat of that sauce that's in there. And then I added on my veggies. I'm just doing lettuce and tomato, but you could always throw in like onions or something if you wanted to. You could even throw some refried beans in here. I'm just kind of working with what was quick and easy and basically what I had on hand. And then I'm going to top this with a little bit more shredded cheese because in this kind of scenario, you just really cannot have too much cheese. I know a lot of people are trying to steer clear of cheese these days, but this is definitely one of those super cheesy dishes. The cheese kind of melts together and kind of holds everything in place. Now, I will like forewarn you all here, for whatever reason, I had a tough time getting these to hold together, and I think it was my tortillas. I don't typically buy this La Bandera. I think it's the La Bandera brand that I was using. I don't typically buy those, and they're not my favorite. They're just not the sturdiest tortillas. They're kind of flimsy. I'm not a huge fan, but when I went to go buy tortillas, I was at Sam's Club, and this is what they had. They were out of the Mission tortillas, the jumbo ones, so this is what I got. If you can find some other ones, I've used the Walmart brand in the past and those were perfect. I didn't have any issues. It just happens to be these that I'm having trouble with. But you can see how I kind of folded it and took a little extra piece of tortilla just to cover that top part there. And that just kind of seals the whole package up, and you're supposed to put it seam side down in the skillet like that with a little bit of butter or nonstick cooking spray or something, and then let it cook, and it's supposed to seal, which typically mine do. For whatever reason on this day, it just would not seal, and I only filmed this one, but I will tell you I cooked more throughout the day for the rest of my family. Not a single one of them sealed, so I feel like it was less of a user error and more of a tortilla problem. Anyway, you can see how nice and golden brown and delicious that got on one side. So I'm going to add just a tiny bit more butter to the pan and then do the other side. And you'll see here, this is where it all started to fall apart. It just kind of started unfolding on me there. And I was trying to piece it back together, but it just would not stay. It was still edible. It was great. We actually enjoyed these very, very much, and I would totally make them again. I'm just going to say it was the tortillas, and I would not buy them again for this purpose. They're fine for burritos and stuff like that. They're fine for quesadillas. But for this, I just had like zero success with them. I'm going to keep that in mind because I don't know if you guys ever had, I think it was like the quesarito that they used to serve at Taco Bell. It was like a cheese quesadilla, and then they would wrap up burrito filling on the inside. Anyway, I forgot about it, but I found a copycat recipe for it on Pinterest the other day, so hopefully I will get around to making those soon, but I'm definitely not going to use these tortillas just because I don't want everything to kind of fall apart. I want it to hold together. Those are definitely an indulgence. There's like a lot going on there, but they're so good. Anyway, there's the finished product. I served it with some salsa pasilla and some guacamole that I made, and that was it. It was super easy and delicious and quick to make, and I highly recommend these if you're looking to like shake up your Taco Tuesday. All right, summer pesto pasta. I was super excited about this one, and it did not disappoint. I think I say this every time I make pasta, but it's like my favorite thing. I love pasta. I would love to say I've never met a pasta dish I didn't like, but as of lately, I think I met one. I made one the other day that had cumin in it, and it wasn't for me. Too much cumin ruined the dish for me. Anyway, this one is nice and simple, and we're working with some fresh ingredients. I love fresh tomatoes in my pasta because they cook down and get sweet and delicious and just have this beautiful flavor. So I've got these cherry tomatoes, and I'm just tossing them in my pan with a little bit of olive oil. I'm using the garlic olive oil, which I'm almost out of. If you're curious how I make that, I do have that linked down below in the description box. It's a quick video I put together on how to make my confit garlic and the garlic oil. You get 2 products for one. It's one of my kitchen favorites. Anyway, to the tomatoes and oil, I added some salt and a little bit of Italian seasoning. I like the Kinder's Italian seasoning. It's got like lemon peel and stuff in there, but you could use like regular Italian seasoning that's just the herbs. It's totally up to you. You could just throw some lemon zest in there if you want. And then I'm adding a little wine because I have it on hand, and I really love wine in a pasta sauce. You could use red or white. I always choose white because it is my preference. But you can also do like chicken broth or just water or some of your pasta water. And it's just a little steaming liquid to help the tomatoes along in their cooking process. And I'm checking them here, and I can see that they have softened. So I'm going to take a knife and poke each one of these just because I don't want them exploding hot liquid all over me and scalding me when I try to mash them all a little bit. The knife just helps them leak their juices and not explode. So just a little safety tip there. But if you're pretty confident in your skills or you don't mind getting burned, just go ahead and go at them with your spoon and mash them right up. Anyway, it only takes a second. I'm just like bouncing around, poking holes in them, and then I'm just going to gently mash with my spoon. And you can see like liquid is not spraying everywhere, and that is because I pierced them with a knife first. But this gets them to release all of their flavor and juices. Now, I like the rusticness of these, just having their skins and everything in there. Some people do not like that. You may want to run this through a food mill, or you may want to stick an immersion blender in there or something. If you don't want that texture, it really doesn't bother me. I am not super picky about it. I like texture and all that, so not everybody feels that way though, and I totally get that. So feel free to throw it in a blender or whatever you need to do to make it the way you want it. But for me and mine, this is how we are going to eat it. To this, we're just going to add a couple of things. First, a little bit of store-bought pesto. You can make it from scratch if you want it to, but I don't mind taking a little help from the store right now in the season of life that I am in where we are very busy. I just toss that on in there with the tomatoes, and we'll mix that up. I do have my noodles cooking in the background, so this dish comes together in the time it takes me to make the pasta. It is very quick and very simple to get a quick, easy, homemade weeknight sauce on the table like this. You don't have to throw pesto in there. You could just season it with some fresh herbs or something if you wanted to. You can do this a million different ways, but I like the pesto. It doesn't take over because we just put a little bit in there. We're also going to add in some Parmesan cheese. Fresh grated is, of course, best, but I am taking a little help from the store again because I just didn't have the time to grate it today, and using the stuff in the green shaker tub. This doesn't always melt in as well as fresh grated does, so the reason I say fresh grated is because it will melt into your sauce a lot better. But if you're like me and you're pressed for time or convenience or whatever, this stuff works. I mean, it does. It serves a purpose. So I went ahead and added in probably about a 1/4 cup in total. And I'm mixing that in slowly just to make sure that it doesn't clump up on me and it all mixes into the sauce. And that's the best way to get it to melt. Like I said, this stuff doesn't always melt as well because it does have anti-caking agents on it, which prevents it from like melting down to that creamy deliciousness. But it works okay, and it adds the flavor, and it's fine. I'm also going to add a little bit of heavy cream to this just to kind of bring it all together. And we're going to simmer this while the pasta continues cooking. I just turned it down on low, and I'm going to leave it there while our noodles are done. No, not all the way done. They're going to be like 2 or 3 minutes shy of being done. And we're going to transfer them into this pot. Now, I did get the original recipe for this from Pinterest, and I will link that recipe down below. It is slightly different from mine because they do call for cooking chicken to add in here. However, to make this a very quick weeknight meal for me, because we were very busy on Wednesday when I made this, I just took some help from the store and used some frozen Tyson chicken tenders and tossed them in my air fryer while all this was going. It takes them about 12 minutes to cook in the air fryer at, I think it's about 400 degrees. So they cook in less time than the pasta does. The pasta took about 10 minutes to get the water to boil, and I cooked it for about 7 minutes. And then I'm tossing it in here to finish cooking. A little bit of the pasta water always comes with it, which is perfect. And you may feel the need to ladle a little bit more in there as well, because you want your sauce to be a little bit creamy, not dried out. And the pasta is going to absorb all the liquid in the pot while it finishes cooking for those last couple of minutes. Oftentimes I find myself adding in a ladle or two of pasta sauce no matter what, just to keep everything nice and creamy. And those are pine nuts. You can throw them in at this point if you want. I opted to just top my my pasta dishes with them for texture and flavor. And they were a nice addition. It's not something I would do very often because they are expensive. However, they taste fabulous, and it is nice to kind of bite into one of those in the middle of all this. And there it is with those Tyson chicken tenders on the side. I just cut them up and then added them to my pasta after I took this picture here. And it was really, really good. All right, the last meal is super fast. Buffalo meatballs. This is a slow cooker meal. We were not home. I was home long enough on this day to film a grocery haul, and that was it. I got up in the morning. I left the house at 8. I was home at 12:50, and I filmed a grocery haul, and I was back out the door with my kids by 1:15 to go to our field trip, run the rest of our errands, and do martial arts. So this was ready when I came home. So I'm just taking a bag of frozen meatballs. I'm putting this in at lunchtime when I filmed that grocery haul. I'm going to add about the equivalent of 1 packet of ranch dressing mix. And then I'm going to pour in about 1/2 to 3/4 of a cup of buffalo sauce or hot sauce. This is my personal preference, the Frank's Red Hot Wing Sauce. I think it tastes the best. I think it's amazing. If you don't have access to it, or you found something that's cheaper, that's great. You can use it. If you're not using a specific wing sauce, do go ahead and add in 1 or 2 pads of butter to this just to make it more buffalo wing sauce like. That's what you would do if you were making buffalo wings with like a regular bottle of hot sauce. You would add a little bit of garlic powder and a little bit of butter and simmer it on the stove before you tossed your chicken in there. So just do the same for this. Just add your butter straight in there. I gave everything a mix and I let it cook for 4 hours on low, and this is what it looked like. I stirred it around. I had some store-bought mashed potatoes from Sam's Club, and I heated those up in the microwave, and then I opened a can of peas. And this was dinner, and it took me literally no time at all to throw together because the slow cooker did all the work. But it was delicious and fantastic. I highly recommend it. We dipped it in ranch and blue cheese dressing. I hope you guys like this one. These are quick and easy weeknight meals. If you're like me, your life is busy right now. Back to school, kids, all the things. So these meals might be super helpful for you to throw together on a busy weeknight meal. Thank you guys for joining me, and I will see you soon with another video. Bye, y'all.